What's up, y'all? Jay Spruill, movies, music, sports, and life. And let's get right into it. It's so hard to say goodbye to Scrappy, aka Scrap. But y'all saw the title of my last video. I said Scrappy is in trouble. The thing that I find curious about the entire situation is that it seems pretty clear that Scrappy's mother is the CI, aka confidential informant. Um, I'm not sure why Omar Epps, aka Detective Howard, told Rocky it was him. But the more I think about it, Detective Howard probably figured that in terms of putting Rock where he wanted her to be to gain leverage, he has to provide information or things that are useful. And knowing that there's somebody that could jeopardize what they do, definitely is something useful. So, real unfortunate, but I can admit it to you and say, had he not been participating in his mother's card games, gambling, some way or another, it would have turned out. The information would have come up that his mom was a snitch, a CI anyway. So it may seem unfair that the young brother got taken out, but that's the kind of lifestyle in real life and in these type of TV shows that you just can't be associated with it. You know, you probably have a better chance, like Rock and Kanan, of being associated with a cop as opposed to just being a straight up snitch. Because a lot of people that are into the streets know that some cops are bought and paid for. So um, you wouldn't necessarily automatically be targeted just because you might have slept with a cop or a cop might be your dad. So I'm trying to think back to the very start of the episode. Oh well, yeah, the start of the episode you start off with Detective Howard telling Rock that smoking isn't good for you, and she said, "Yeah, neither is cops, but I can't seem to shake them either." um, he lets her know that I'm going to let Kanan know that I'm his dad, and she took that information and she told him that I'm going home. I think that Detective Howard was really thinking to himself, um, if I meet with her and all I do is threaten or let her know what I want, the relationship isn't mutually beneficial. He made sure to tell Rock that he isn't going to arrest Kanan for shooting him, but he also, in his own way, tried to plead with her that I could tell by the look in his eyes. I could tell by what a terrible shot he was from the way he was holding the projectile weapon. He just isn't built for this life. That's not really who he is. And I will say this, and I want to remind not only just my watchers, my viewers, but all of you who support all us YouTubers who make videos about power, any of the books, but especially book 3, Raising Canaan. it would be so easy of you to say that Rock is a bad mother. But y'all have to remember, she tried to move that Negro, I want to say to Syracuse. It was somewhere up north in New York and put him in the best school, and he left on his own. Wanted to come back to the hood in Queens and specifically said that he wanted to sell drugs. And if you don't remember, Rock said you wanted to be in it, you in it. So I know that was very long ago. I feel like within the first 3 episodes of season 1 that happened. Y'all can correct me in the comments if I'm wrong. But it was so long ago that y'all will forget that that happened. But you can't forget. Like, it'd be so easy to talk about how much of a bad mother she is. But then you have to go back and remember she tried everything to make sure that he didn't follow into this path. And so now that he's having second thoughts, being the queen pin drug dealer that she is, she probably just realizes that she can't let him back out because it would cause distrust amongst her ranks. Her lower ranking soldiers would feel like that the only reason that Kanan is leaving the drug selling industry is because he's snitching. So when she says you wanted to be in it, now you in it, that's kind of what she means. I can't, if I would have kept you out of it from the beginning, then it's all good. You would be considered like myself, a square, somebody that tries to avoid. You a square either because you avoid the streets because you shook of them, or you avoid the streets because someone like myself is very, very aware of them and has made the choice to not be a part. Um, I don't really feel like necessarily justifying why I always left the streets alone, but I think it's helpful to know uh, my bachelor's degree in college is in public relations, but I have a minor in African American history. So I happen to be a very pro black person, and I just don't believe in the possibility of being pro black and then selling drugs to your own people, especially when you know what things a black mother will do in order to get high or remain high. All right. At any rate, Famous is caught in the situation. One thing I like about the scene with Famous is that it shows that no matter what race you are, certain things are universal. And mothers not accepting you bringing women home and having sex under their roof, that's pretty much standard. Black mothers don't play that. Obviously, Latino mothers don't play that. What was spoken up but wasn't shown on screen, that's a good directing technique. Because if you remember, when his mom said this, Kanan kind of gave Famous a look, but then he never said anything to Famous about it. But his mom, pretty much in so many words, said it's one thing to have women, to be bringing women over here, sleeping with women in my house, but you're also a thief. I know that you took the money out of my purse, I want you to get out. So you have to remember that this is set in 1988, 1989. I'm not sure how addictive weed was back then, but that kind of gave me the unspoken instinct that it might be a little something beyond weed. Just because it would make more sense now in 2022 because people are hooked on weed and pills much more than crack cocaine, which was the dominant drug of my lifetime when I was growing up. But whenever you get to stealing from your mom, that's kind of fiendish. That's dope fiendish, cracky type of habits, and it just seems like for some weed, mm, well, that's just from personal experience. But anyway, he gets kicked out of the house. He doesn't have anywhere to go. He wants to convince Kanan to sell his mixtape to get some money, and it's a really backwards way of thinking because there's a lot going on with Power that they didn't show us. It seems like the Streets Got a Body was real popular towards the end of season one, and they didn't really show us anything happening with that. So now that we back here, season two, episode two, everybody keeps talking about how much his mixtape flopped, and maybe that's just pointing the fingers at Lulu of being a poor business manager and not knowing what he's doing because just coming from my own experience as a former hip hop artist, you can best believe if I had a song that was as popular as Streets Got a Body, my mixtape is going to sell. Just off my marketing mind by itself. If I used to sell very well without even having hit singles. I never got radio play very much. I never had too many DJs really support me to spin my record, and I was selling records. So I can't imagine how many more records I would have sold if I actually had a hit that everybody was behind. You create a lot of momentum when you have a hit song. Like I think Mims might be one of the worst MCs within the past 20 years or so. But this is why I'm hot. This is why I'm hot. You mad because you not. This is why I'm hot. Like, he could probably go to state fairs and stuff like that and still make $2,000 to perform that song for 5, 6, 7 minutes. So hit songs are unmistakable. It's like you can milk off of a hit song and live and eat off hit songs for decades. Even as a rapper, so-called one-hit wonder. Back home in Wisconsin, we had this event called State Fair, Wisconsin State Fair, and I believe it was either last year or the year before. I think Vanilla Ice came. I'm pretty sure Vanilla Ice got paid very well to come to the State Fair. And literally, I'm just asking y'all, if Vanilla Ice performed for 15, 20 minutes, I'll give you 30 minutes at the maximum. How many times did he do Ice Ice Baby? I mean, it's like he got to open with Ice Ice Baby. He got to end the show with Ice Ice Baby at minimum, and maybe just think of some bull crap to throw in the middle. But yeah, when you have a hit song, it just lives. So I'm not sure why his mixtape was such a flop. At any rate, Jukebox asks Rock about her mom. Rock has to choose her words carefully because she made the mistake of almost saying, "Well, I don't blame your mom. It's not an easy job." And then she had to put her arm around her and kiss her on the forehead and say, "Yeah, your mom missed out." Um, because Juke is really feeling it right now. You got to figure, no matter what your stance on same-sex relationships is, she definitely loved Nicole. Nicole is dead. Her parents blamed her for killing the girl she loved. So that's one person. Then you got Marvin looking like Teddy Riley, and he beat the brakes off of her. They had a Rihanna Chris Brown moment. I got somebody who told me that Chris Brown was choking Rihanna and didn't stop until she passed out. And when she passed out, he like let go of her neck, and then he ran out of the Lamborghini. They had a fight before the VMAs, but it's almost the same thing. Marv was not gonna stop until he looked into his daughter's eyes and realized, I'm about to kill my daughter. You know what I mean? It was like the reality of how much damage he was doing to her sunk in, and then he stopped. So you got Nicole's dead. That's somebody who loved her and she loved him back. Now you got Marvin. That's somebody she doesn't really very much love, but now she borderline hates because he tried to kill her. You got Kanan. You got Rock. So out of that four, that's only 50%. Only two out of four people in this world really love you, and you feel loved by. So what happens to a young person is a young person. What's the word, y'all? Help me out, movies, music, sports, and life fans. She rationalizes or reasons that Rock and Kanan do not have to love her. It's almost like it doesn't count. So your girlfriend or boyfriend loving you, yeah, that counts, but her girlfriend is dead. Your dad loving you, that would count, but you hate your dad hates you. So that leaves a void. If you know that Rock and Kanan are your aunt and cousin, and even though they love you, it isn't necessarily their responsibility to love you. So what happens in a young person's mind, and y'all got to remember, I'm not just a teacher. I used to be a social worker for young troubled youth. They are going to try to face their fears or their mortality of the person that abandoned them. And in this case, it's mom. So I know my dad doesn't love me because I'm homosexual. Now I need to find out if I can develop a relationship with my mom. Will my mom accept me and will she love me? And we see Miss Latoya Luckett from Destiny's Child, and it's kind of hard to buy her being a mom, but she probably is old enough to be the young lady's mom. I can't remember. She might be in her early 40s at the most, but at any rate, we see her, but they don't make any verbal contact with each other. But we shall see next week. Down below in the comments, let me know what you thought of this episode. Um, I didn't think this was that great of an episode. It wasn't bad, but it was as the kids say, it was just mid. It wasn't Reggie. It was just mid. It was just okay. It felt kind of weird. Maybe I can say The first two episodes have been kind of slow. I won't say disappointing, but kind of slow. Something is off. They definitely are cooking slow instead of putting something right on the frying pan. Movies, music, sports, and life. We out.